Believe you me, you could be a volunteer as we speak and you have no idea. Yes, I just gave you a moment to digest that, because the guests we've got in studio this morning will not only tell us or explain to us what volunteerism is all about, they will go a notch higher and let us know the importance of volunteerism. Actually, it's an exercise that you and I should engage in often. Why? That's why they're with us in studio. Keep tweeting. The hashtag is GMKKBC. Find me on Facebook. My account is Samuel Njoroge. Let us interact together. Let's understand what's the value of volunteerism. And as the caption on your screen reads, the beauty of volunteerism. Yakonge Gesage from the National Volunteerism Secretariat, the gentleman to my extreme left, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And to my immediate left, we've got Christine Sayo. She's a representative at from the Volunteer Involving Organizations. That is VIO?
VIO.
VIO. Ata VIO nipo.
Yeah, we can say VIO.
Yes, we can say VIO. So welcome to the program, Christine.
Thank you so much, Samuel.
And together, let's make Kenyans understand what volunteerism entails. And let's begin with the basics. What is volunteerism?
Thank you, Njoroge. The Kenyan definition of volunteerism is the giving out of your own joys in skills, time, and resources without expecting any financial rewards.
Yes.
That's the Kenyan definition. There are other definitions, but that's the formal definition of volunteerism. However, there's also the informal volunteerism. Yeah.
So there are various types of volunteerism.
All of them are volunteerism, but there are various types and categories.
There are various types and categories.
Yes.
We'll be getting to that in a short while. But then again, Christine, let me come to you. Your understanding of who a volunteer is.
From our definition, the Kenyan definition he referred to, a volunteer is someone who's willing to go out of their way to offer their services out of free will. They don't have to be forced, and not expecting any financial reimbursement. That's who a volunteer is.
Not expecting anything in return.
Yes.
Why volunteer, Kakonge?
This is actually it's natural, especially what we call the informal volunteerism or the Kenyan traditional volunteerism. You can imagine you have been volunteers in schools, previously what we call the 4K clubs. Whenever an old lady, a mother, gave birth, there were people coming from the neighborhood to do the normal chores in the house until she gets strength. Whenever we were planting, whenever we were harvesting, whenever there was something that the community was doing, whenever we had weddings, we had funerals, people come out willingly. You know, that's volunteerism. But also now, the formal one is when, especially the young people, the youth, they're coming out to hone their skills before employment, to be motivated to give out to communities without expecting any financial rewards, but for the basic expenses, reimbursements, especially for lunch, for fare during the engagement.
During the engagement.
Yes.
And people watching us this morning could wonder, you don't expect any financial gain.
Sure.
But then, is there any economic gain that comes with volunteerism?
Oh, yes. Actually, volunteerism right now in the Kenyan economy, it contributes to almost 2% of the GDP. It's enormous. That is the formal. Assume, Sami, we are paying you, you are doing volunteer work, you are masters with your masters. So if we were to pay you per day or per hours, and so many of those skills, their contribution to the GDP is almost 2%. But leave alone that, look at peace and national development, which sometimes is very difficult to quantify. The volunteers, you can see the Kenya Red Cross, whenever something happens, they are there. You don't understand that behind that, somebody has tweeted, somebody has sent an SMS, before even the police or any assistance could reach there. there's somebody who has been there. So the contribution of GDP is great to peace and national development. It's quite great. And as a government, we like to quantify that, to have evidence-based that you can go to any policymaker and say, this is what frontierism contributes to national development.
Yeah. 2%.
2%.
That's a big deal.
It's a big
That's
deal.
a big deal that should be celebrated in this country.
Sure.
It should be celebrated in this country. But then, Christine, we were interacting earlier, and apparently you've been volunteering since you were 16 and you didn't know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
That's a very interesting story. In high school, I went to the Kenya High School, and part of the extracurricular activities we used to be encouraged to do was community service. So I was a member of the Junior Achievement Club, Junior Achievement, which still exists today. And what we used to do is every Saturday, as members of the Junior Achievement Club, we would come together, sit in the field, make some HIV/AIDS ribbons, and then the school would allow us to go and sell the ribbons at the Sarit Center and Village Market. And then the proceeds from the sale of those ribbons, we would go and donate to a children's home in Kibera called Carolina for Kibera, and just engage those kids. So back then, I thought I was just doing my part as a member of the Junior Achievement Club. And it's not until much later when I started engaging with the volunteerism sector and interacting with peers in the volunteerism field that I realized, oh, wait a minute, that is what I was doing back then was actually volunteerism. And I'm sure there are many Christines out there, people who are already doing volunteer work, but they don't know it. We have brownies and Girl Guides in primary school.
And scouts.
And scouts.
Yes.
Those in their own right, they engage in so many volunteer activities, but they unknowingly. We have people who, when there's a cleanup, people turn up in large numbers. You leave whatever you're doing on Saturday, you come out to clean, say, Nairobi River. That in itself is volunteer work. It's just that we are all doing, as Mr. Gekonge said, there's informal and formal volunteerism. And informal volunteerism accounts for 80% of the volunteer activity in the country. In one way or another, you have volunteered at one point in your life. Yeah.
So what I get from you, lady, gentlemen, is that you cannot not volunteer. It's impossible.
Yes.
It is literally impossible. In
Yes.
one way or another, you're volunteering in one way.
Exactly.
You can
Yeah.
volunteer a smile to someone who's
Oh,
sad,
true.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So you cannot not volunteer. So Kenyans were all volunteers. So this discussion is for the two of us, or all of us who are watching this morning. The Ministry of East Africa Community, Labor and Social Protection. And that is in the development of a national policy that touches on volunteerism. So Gakonge, I'd like to come to you in terms of kindly walk us through what this policy is all about.
Thank you, Sammy. The policy overall, the overall objective is to manage frontierism efficiently, effectively, and regulate it. So by doing that, the country under the medium-term plan 2 has its plans of developing national frontierism policy. The Ministry of Labor of East Africa Community, Labor and Social Protection, has actually produced the policy, which was adopted by the Cabinet on 18th of February this year, and it provides various programs. The first program is on developing the national youth, skilled youth frontiers who will be working at the national level, at the regional level, at international level. We like to export our youth who are skilled to be Kenyan frontiers, but also within the national level, register them and then forward them, kind of conveyance belt, to the private sector, to the government and ministries, departments, and that will be quite a huge reservoir because we are developing them. These are future skills, and they'll be honing their skills while working there. So that's one program. Then the second one is to provide evidence-based research and data management. That, yes, this is what frontierism is doing, but there's no evidence. So we are going to commission studies to do that, show us what is frontierism contributing to the GDP? Evidence-based. What is it contributing to peace and national development? More so now, the frontiers are very active, especially during the election years. We are going to an election year. It's most likely some ideas of foreigners might come up. So the frontiers are there to take care of that. Look at the disaster preparedness and management. Look at the Kenya Red Cross. You might think that they are planted there every day. There are a lot of activities that go on behind, such that when there's a disaster happening, within the first 2 minutes, there's somebody pinged there. So actually, that is now on the contribution. But also, as you said, the day-to-day, you are contributing. You don't know that the SMS you wrote that you have lost a relative, that you are meeting somewhere in town in the evening. That's you're contributing to frontierism. The weddings, the burials, all the community activities. All of us in one way are doing that. So the government, together with the VIO society, have developed now this policy to regulate that and show that evidence that something's happening on frontierism in the country. And also to put Kenya in the map of frontierism in Africa and the global perspective.
In Africa
Yes.
and the globe at large.
Yes.
And now that you raise some very key points, especially when you talk of social functions and you attend and give your moral support,
Sure.
you're volunteering in one way or another. You know, when you pick up the phone and call up a friend and give them moral support, you're volunteering in one way or another. That drives me to ask this question to you, Christine. The types of volunteerism and probably categories, if there are any, could you kindly expound on that?
Thank you, Sammy. So in the policy, we give examples of types of volunteerism, and one is the online volunteers. An example is when I see a fire breaking out in, say, Mukuru Kayaba, I take a photo, I put it online and tweet either Kenya Red Cross or AMREF, and that in itself is volunteering because nobody is paying me. I'm doing it out of free will. Remember our definition of what volunteerism is.
Yes.
That in itself is one type of volunteerism, online volunteerism. The other one is communal or self-help, where in the community, we would be having maybe a problem of crossing a river, and we decide to just come together as members of the community and build a bridge without anybody prompting us. It's just us out of our own very initiative deciding, let's go and build a bridge. We also have another third type, that is philanthropy. Philanthropy is where, okay, I may be busy, but I appreciate the work done by volunteers. So I decide to give some money to support the work done by volunteers. So that's the third type, which is philanthropy. The fourth type, Mr. Gekonge?
It's professional.
Professional
Retired,
volunteers.
yes.
These are people who have retired, and we see them a lot in our communities, retired teachers who decide to come back and maybe become boards of governors for different schools and help in giving direction to how that school is run. Yes.
Great. So, Gekonge, coming to you. Volunteerism was really put at the center of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
True.
How so? And why volunteerism and Sustainable Development Goals?
First of all, we start from our local neighborhood, that if true frontierism is contributing to national development, then the national development are anchored to the Sustainable Development Goals. And the SDGs, as they have been put on frontierism specifically to spearhead to the next level of development in the global. So, as we move forward, first, frontierism targeting on the youth, which is about 70% of the African population. They have been put specifically by the SDGs that they'll move development, and there are almost 5 SDGs that talk on frontierism. Therefore, all governments, and our government included, must plan for that as we continue heading to achieve the SDGs. Yeah.
You'd like to chip in on something, Christine?
Yes. Over and above what Mr. Gekonge has said, in each of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we will need volunteers, whether it's an SDG on climate change, whether it's an SDG on peace, whether it's an SDG on women empowerment, that's Goal 5. Each of these SDGs, at one point or another, are engaging volunteers in their implementation. So volunteerism is at the core of SDG attainment. And also, when we were developing the policy, that's one of the areas we really anchored on, the SDGs framework. We were looking at the SDGs and seeing how we can apply it to our local volunteerism policy.
Now, talk about how they can apply to our policy right here. The policy could be in place, and as you said, it's adopted by the cabinet in Feb this year. But then for any policy to be properly articulated, it needs a legal framework.
Sure.
Is the legal framework present?
Sammy, together with the Frontier Involving Society, the ministry has started the initial process of drafting the frontierism bill. And the bill will actually focus on 3 areas: the frontiers themselves, the beneficiaries, and the frontier organizations. So we want to believe that the bill will be passed in Parliament before it breaks in next year, because it's quite advanced, and we are sure to achieve that. We're involving everybody, including the NGOs, the frontier involving organizations, and all the stakeholders, and we'll take the bill to the people as required by the Constitution, have their input, share, and their feedback will be taken into account. Yeah.
Speaking of feedback being taken into account, let's appreciate, opinion and fact that has been established before. And I'll look at 2 countries. I'll look at Ghana and I'll look at Rwanda. They have been placed in high regard when it comes to volunteerism, particularly Rwanda. Their policy is regarded as very cohesive and very comprehensive. What has made it become what it is right now, and what can we learn from it?
Thank you, Sammy. So as part of the benchmarking process for the preparation of the policy, we paid a visit to Rwanda to learn from them. What is it they're doing right, as you've asked? And one thing that came out clear is that they have been able to quantify the amount that volunteer work contributes to the GDP. So for instance, they will say, we have a nurse volunteering at Hospital A. This nurse, if the government were to employ them, would be paid, say, 10 shillings. But because this nurse is volunteering for free, we are saving the government 10 shillings. So imagine if we have, say, 30 nurses. So we have saved the government 300 shillings. And then armed with this data, they go ahead and approach the government, and they tell the government, look here, we are saving you 300 shillings. Why don't you give us 200, keep the 100 and channel it to some other development cause, but give us this 200 to promote volunteerism in the country. That's the same thing we are aiming for with this policy. As Mr. Gekonge rightly put it, we are looking at a mechanism that will allow for research, that will enable us quantify how much it is volunteers in Kenya contribute to the GDP. Yes, thank you.
And also,
yes,
Rwanda has got the right environment, politically, and also plans, national development plans, dedicated to frontierism. I'm happy to say that the Deputy President, His Excellency Ruto, has got a passion on frontierism. Actually, he started at his own, the Chi United scheme.
Yes.
And within the country, we want to believe that in the next 2 to 3 years, Kenya will have put itself somewhere in the global world. Yes, on
what
frontierism.
will it take for us to put ourselves somewhere
the first
in the global map?
The first one is in the African continent, we are the 3rd country to have developed and approved a frontierism policy. We'll be the 2nd country to have the bill this year, and will be implementing. I'm happy to say that the government in the first year has allocated resources which are adequate to implement the programs on frontierism. So that one itself, the countries have not started, And when we are reporting to the UN, we're sharing these. Actually, we are being told that the road we are taking is the right road, where other countries have already benchmarking from us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So the recognition is coming,
Yes.
Yes.
even from other international bodies.
Sure.
So we only need to owe this as Kenyans and see how it can help us get to the next level.
True.
Let's talk about emerging trends. What are they? What are those issues that could shape how we view volunteerism as of now, probably in 10 years?
The number one thing is technology. Right now we have online volunteers, as I mentioned, but the field is bound to grow because, as you know, technology is always growing every now and then. So in 10 years' time, we are bound to see a more vibrant online volunteerism sector with more people coming forward to offer their services for free online. The second one is the G United program that Mr. Gekonge mentioned, and we also have the NYS, National Youth Service. So those are the emerging trends in the volunteerism sector that will shape how we perceive or understand volunteerism in Kenya.
And when you talk about shaping, then we've got to be very careful because it can shape us positively
Sure.
or otherwise.
Sure.
I didn't say negative, I said otherwise. It may shape us positively or otherwise. But then again, every journey, every initiative is not without challenges.
Sure.
Sure.
So what challenges are you facing so far, Konge?
Yes, as we said, frontierism in Kenya is understood and misunderstood at the same way. The internship is equated to frontierism.
Yes.
The community services, which is a course you must do in university to get your grades, is associated with frontierism. The labor laws in the country, they don't recognize frontierism. The Migration Act does not provide frontier permits in these. So that definition in itself is not well understood in that sector. So we like for us to send Kenyan skilled youth frontiers, they must get frontier permits. The same who are coming. All those who are coming, they are getting work permits, and you know what they are. For the labor laws, if you employ somebody, a cashier, to work for you for more than 3 months, you must engage him further, or you have to stop that engagement. For frontiers, you know, if somebody was agreed to frontier in his own time, and if the labor laws get up with you, actually, so the bill that we're coming up with, we like to harmonize all these acts to recognize frontierism. So the challenges are there, but they can be surmounted. Yeah.
They can be surmounted.
Yes.
Would you like to add something?
Yes,
Krista?
another challenge right now is the lack of coordination. We have different people carrying out different volunteerism activities, but we don't know where they are. So with the policy, we are seeking to establish a volunteerism secretariat that will bring together all these people in their different spheres so that we are able again to measure their value in terms of the GDP. We're also looking at, as he mentioned, the lack of awareness, which is a big issue moving forward we need, and the lack of a legal framework. This is the first time we're having a volunteerism policy. So this, not having a legal framework on which to anchor volunteerism activities has made it difficult, not just for the volunteers, but for the volunteer involving organizations and the beneficiaries. The policy will help us protect the volunteer such that we are saying, you're not going to be exploited. This is what you're entitled to. This is what you should ask for when you go out to volunteer. The volunteer involving organization, it's a very tricky situation because it's not entitled to as a person hosting that volunteer. And then the beneficiary, we have this person who's coming into the community with their own beliefs and customs. We need to protect that beneficiary from any harm that may come. So we are laying out protection measures for the volunteer, 1, 2, the volunteer involving organization, and 3, the beneficiary.
And I like that you've brought that up because my next question was, you've come to me, we've had this discussion, you've appealed to me immensely, and I want to become a volunteer. But then how do you caution me from extortion, from exploitation, from manipulation? Are there systems that will ensure that you are protected and your dignity as a human being is upheld both at the same time?
Sure.
Sure.
First of all, we're requesting the frontier involving organization society that any frontier who comes to work there must have a contract. So the frontier as an individual and the organization must enter into a contract that spells out on all those requirements, taxation, reimbursements, and all related, and the period you have to be there as a frontier. Second, I want to believe that the ministry, the government, will be in between, that the organizations are not taking frontiers as an alternative to employment. That will be exploitation. So the organizations must have their staff employed and being paid, and they should not take frontiers as engage them instead of employing the people. So at the same time, the frontier, he or herself, has got expectations. First, if they are the youth, they want to improve their skills, their motivation to be marketable. If they are the retired and the professional, like you engage your time, go to KTN TV and make a presentation like this for free. Yeah? So there are those kind of checks and balances that protect the frontiers, the beneficiaries, and the organizations.
Yeah. That one was tricky.
Yes.
That one of me going to KTN.
No, you're competitive.
that one will be tricky. But then again, gentlemen, exchange programs. Where do they fit when it comes, or where do they fit as far as volunteerism is concerned?
So in the policy, we are proposing for the establishment of a national volunteer program. The Americans have the Peace Corps. The Norwegians have the Fredskorpset program called FK Youth. What about Kenya? What do we have? So we are seeking to establish this pool of volunteers from Kenya that we can share, we can exchange with other countries and give them a name that we will decide with time. We're also looking at inter-county exchanges of volunteers. So I come from Vihiga County. I can be posted to work, to volunteer, say, in Marsabit, just to get that whole experience and the exposure that comes with it. So exchange programs will form a very big part of how we implement this policy, and in the process have some sort of exposed youth and very well knowledgeable and willing to work anywhere.
Your final words, I'll start with you, Gakonge. I'll call upon all Kenyans. We'll be celebrating the International Frontier Day and Week on the 5th of December. I'll call upon our partners in the corporate world, in the private sector, in the public sector, NYS, the police, to come out and give their time, work skills freely as we celebrate that. We expect every Kenyan from all walks of life to do that, especially to help their neighbor in need and their environment. So we look forward in partnerships with the corporate, with the private, and with the government ministries and departments. We ask for their cooperation and for their support towards this. We'll be celebrating it in Eldoret, and we're involving the North Rift Economic Bloc, the 8 counties in the North Rift who have accepted to host the celebrations. But the celebration will be everywhere in the country. Thank you.
Everywhere in the country.
Yes.
Over to you, Christine, your final word, briefly.
As a volunteer,
Yes.
there is a lot of benefit that comes with volunteerism. Volunteerism has opened doors for me that I did not even know existed. But over and above that, there's the intrinsic satisfaction that comes with volunteering. You know that poem of today, I did my share in building the nation?
Yeah.
Yeah, so once you volunteer, there's that. So my call to Kenyans, my final word is to, again, call on Kenyans. Let's do it. Let's do a volunteer act today or tomorrow. And as we build up to the National Volunteer Week, which starts on 1st December to 5th December, spare some time. It could be 2 to 3 hours. You may not be able to join us, but in Eldoret for the celebrations.
Yes.
But in your own small world, do it. Do something that will make the society a better place without expecting to be reimbursed.
Absolutely. In
Thank
your
you.
own small way,
Yes.
make a positive contribution towards building a society that is for the benefit of everyone, both especially those that are around you and those that suffer in one way or another. It's good for you to just take time and impact their lives positively. John from Eldoret, thank you so much for your feedback. We may not be able to take it right now, but we do value it so much. Same case applies to those that have been tweeting and of course sending us messages on Facebook. Thank you so much for being a part of this show since 6 a.m. It has been a pleasure, of course, together with my colleagues Safina Chieng and Martin Mwanje, kickstarting your Tuesday. We do hope that we've done you right and proud. My name is Samuel Njoroge. Happy International Day for the Girl. Power to the girl out there. Indeed, we get to do this all over again tomorrow, same place, same time. Until then, enjoy what is left of your Tuesday. Keep safe and God bless you all.